guys, True Green 7 here. I'm just kidding. Welcome back to the Combine Podcast, episode 6. That's a good number. It's one away from 7. That's when I should have done that True Green 7 intro, not looking back at it.
You wasted it.
I wasted it. Oh, that's so stupid.
6 is my favorite number. You'll do it again next week, and
okay, I'll do it
it'll be even better.
Okay, cool. I did want to say before we start that I literally just yesterday night ordered the mic that you have.
Oh, cool.
So maybe it'll sound like we're going to be in the same room, or like touching. That'll be pretty cool.
It's a good microphone. What tipped you over? This is the Shure SM. I'll try that again. It's the Shure SM7B, right?
It's literally the podcast. It's the podcast mic. It's the mic that everybody uses when they have a podcast. Joe Rogan, a bunch of streamers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a sound I think people are very familiar with, and the way I think I tried to convince you is the Shure SM7B was preceded by the Shure SM7A, and that was preceded by the Shure SM7. That microphone and these adjustments are tiny between the A and the B and the original. The original came out 50 years ago.
What? Okay.
You think about any bit of technology you own, your PC, your monitor, your headphones, your phone, anything. Nothing like that. Microphone technology pretty much peaked with the Shure SM7.
That is true. Like audio, in terms of, like, for example, even like, I forgot the term. What's the word? I guess I've never used it. What's the thing that the records? I forgot the word records. Records. The quality of records are amazing. Yeah. So it's like, and those are what?
Vinyl.
60 years? Vinyl, exactly.
Yeah.
And even like they had headphones in 1930s. Like you can connect to your radios. It's crazy.
Something about audio technology, I don't know, I'm sure there's an audio engineer who's probably listening to this who's like, and this is why. But well done, good purchase. I think it's a very good purchase for you. And I think given that your videos are like 100% of your video is your voice, I think your viewers will really, really appreciate it.
The Blue Yeti, which is what I have right now, it's good. It's definitely good enough. Definitely the mic I recommend any starting YouTuber to get. But I guess, you know, most of my videos, they have music in the background, so it's like it does kind of hide any lack of quality if there is any. Mm-hmm. While in a podcast there really isn't. I mean, some podcasts that I listen to, they have like I forget that they have music in the background. Like if you just like you only hear it when you notice it. It's weird. I mean, I thought we shouldn't have music in our podcast, because what if you want to listen to music on your own while you're listening to the podcast?
True.
I never knew that was a thing people did.
Is that a thing people do?
You can totally do it. It makes sense.
Yeah, I guess. I've never thought about doing that. That's an interesting idea. It feels like too many mediums happening at once. I want to be either listening to music or listening to a podcast, but I don't know if I want to be doing both at the same time. So how's your week been?
My week has been, I mean, there's some secrets, things that I can't really talk about yet, but yesterday, after like a week and a half of just nonstop working, like 12 hours a day, I finally finished a thing early, and I'm like, okay, let me just take a day off. So I just went to Manhattan, went to just walk around Central Park, went to the zoo in Central Park, rented a bike. I thought I was going to bike that thing for an entire day. I could not last a half an hour. The hills in Central Park are apparently hillier than where I live. But yeah, it was literally a perfect day in terms of weather. It was a very nice day. Had some good food, had some good vibes. That was nice.
That sounds like a lot of fun. Do you do that often? Just go into Manhattan and just kind of like see the sights in New York and integrate yourself? I
did before the pandemic. Like I'd say once every few months. But this has been the first time since a year and a half ago, honestly.
It's nice to do that. I live not too far from London, and there's always that nice kind of like, ooh, I live close to here, so I get to enjoy this just as a city, as opposed to I think a lot of people who come as a tourist and just do that. I imagine you must get, like, if I came to New York, that would be a very different experience to obviously you just being like, I'm just gonna rent a bike for the day and cycle around and see what's up. Yeah. Which honestly probably would be a much richer experience for me to do as a tourist. Hopefully I'll come over for the first time. I've obviously never been before. Hopefully I'll come over and see you at some point.
Yeah, you originally planned to come here in February, but then you went somewhere else.
There have been so many times where my brain's gone, this is it. This is the year I go to New York, and this is why it makes sense. At the beginning of this year, flights were like relatively quite cheap. But the uncertainty about like, can I travel? Are we allowed to? What's the pandemic situation? It just like, even if it's really cheap, it doesn't matter if you can't get out there or get back. And so there's just been so much uncertainty around that. I really do want to come out soon, though. I want to come out and enjoy it while I'm young.
What's funny is that the 2 times that you said, "Oh, I'm going to come to New York," they were both literally the middle and end of winter, and really do not ever come to New York City in winter, unless it's like December is the latest. Because I mean, the lights are pretty during that time. It's not too cold, but February, do not come to New York City in February or late January. That's the dumbest thing to do. So,
see, maybe it is. I don't think the weather would like bother me, and I'm actually a cold weather person anyway.
There's less things to do. It's less pretty.
Yeah, but it's all new, right? So it's all new to me. So you can say there's less to do, but like getting a pizza in New York is like a new experience.
You won't be able to walk with that pizza because you're gonna want to be indoors. The New York experience is walking with that pizza.
Right. Okay.
Eating it in a park or something. But like, for example, I mean, have you ever been? You've probably been to London during when it was snowing. I'm assuming, right?
Sort of. There's like never snow actually settling in London, in central London. I've never seen it.
It does in New York City, and it's like it's all brown snow, and it's 2 feet of it.
Slush.
You don't want, and yeah, you're gonna definitely step in like a slushy puddle. Do not do it. It's come in April and May.
Okay, all right. You know what? This is really weird because we were just sort of talking about this before the podcast, and like this is like the perfect thing because we were talking about you coming to the UK for Worlds, for the World Championship. The Pokemon World Championships is this year, and you were saying that you'd maybe have a temperature issue with it.
Yeah, because like over there, if I'm gonna come during the summer, it's gonna be extremely hot if there's a heat wave like there has been lately in England, and they don't have AC there.
And I'll tell you what, there is nothing better than being in a heat wave and being inside a convention center.
True.
It's like absolutely burning alive, melting. We're going to be so uncomfortable at Pokemon Worlds, but it'll be fine because we'll be together, you know.
I want to be together a foot apart, dude.
Yeah, that's exactly it. But you know why we don't have AC, right?
I mean, you usually don't need it. You live literally more north than most of Canada. but I guess that.
Yeah.
But
so our buildings are built to like retain heat as much as possible. But obviously that means in the middle of the summer, and if there's a heat wave, it's like it's like doors open, windows open, fans on. I've had to buy like a little convertible like run around AC thing that I can just plug in for the summer, because in this room with the office lights and the computers and everything, you roast. Absolutely roast.
The problem is like when we see each other, we're gonna hug for like 3 minutes, and in the heat, that's impossible, dude.
And we're gonna stick. We're gonna stick together. And we'll do a live podcast, and we'll be right next to each other. Cool. That would be cool, though. We should do that.
Yeah, we definitely will. But the thing is that I also would, if I go, I plan on Worlds is one weekend. I plan on just doing a full week, maybe hanging out with you. We'll see.
But the thing is like with Worlds, that's almost the wrong week to do it, because that's such a busy week anyway. So it's like so many people and it's so much socializing that by the end of Worlds, I'm gonna be like, I need to sleep for 2 weeks.
So do we? Well, I was planning on hanging out before, like coming a week before Worlds, and then because anyways, sure. I would have to come back to London to leave, because I assume that's where the airport I want to go to is. The number one thing that I'm worried about, and this is just me, this is what I worry about anytime I travel, is my IBS. That's the number one problem. I really kind of need to do my bathroom routines in the morning in order for me to not need the bathroom the rest of the day, and if I do, my day is done. I just cannot.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
If I get a hotel, I may just get my own room. Hopefully it's going to be right near the convention center. If I need to go to the bathroom, just go back to my room.
Okay, we will talk full strategy off podcast, and maybe in the future people will be listening to a live episode of the Calm Mind podcast, which would be really cool, recorded from a hotel room somewhere. I think that could be a lot of fun.
That means you have to bring the mics.
Yeah, I bring the mics.
Okay,
we'll work it out. We got those mics.
So how's your week?
Good. It's been good. We've I kind of made a big decision on a thing, which is that I now have a new Twitch account called Birdkeepertoby YouTuber, as kind of a little joke. I thought it would be quite funny because I'm in a wrestle with Twitch at the moment where I'm a YouTuber primarily. I enjoy live streaming on Twitch because the chat there is really lively. I think I could handle a chat 2 to 3 times the size, and the perfect audience to advertise to would be my YouTube audience. And the easiest way to do that would be to multi-stream, so that when I'm live on Twitch and I'm live on YouTube, and the people on YouTube watching know that if they want to interact and chat, they've got to come on over to Twitch.
So if you want to talk to you talk in the Twitch chat, but you watch from YouTube? I'm confused.
Yep. So if people on YouTube would see me live, they could talk on the YouTube chat, and I might respond to that. And there are actually apps you can get that can merge your chats together.
Annoying people will go to Twitch.
Well, they might, but the majority won't. Like, I think for YouTube, the people who are going to make that jump from YouTube to Twitch are probably going to be the people I want. And the people that I don't want, I assume, will stay on YouTube.
And why would you want them to be on Twitch if you don't get monetize that, I'm assuming?
Well, you can with sponsorships, which is like, obviously if your audience is bigger, you can do that. And I don't know how you feel about this, and I want to know. But when it comes to donations, it used to be the case that when I got a donation, like a random donation on Twitch, I'd be ecstatic. I'd be over the moon. $2, $3, $10, it didn't matter. It was like, oh my goodness, you are giving money to someone that you don't know just because you watch my video. That's really incredibly kind. And I could give that organic reaction. But the culture of Twitch and subscribing and gifting subscriptions and memberships and all these things has become such a pervasive thing that now the reaction from most streamers is, and including myself, hey, thank you so much for the sub, appreciate it. And it loses the organicness and the magic of that and becomes this automated process. And something about that is not sitting right with me. I would rather get like one random donation to my PayPal, even if it's just like $3, and be like, that's amazing, thank you so much, that's incredible, versus whatever this new robotic process is. I don't like it. Something feels wrong about it.
So I think the way I do it is that I always want to be genuine. I'm terrible at faking anything.
Yeah.
So I will just try to find a thing to say about what they did, whether it be their username, the amount of money they donated, whatever, just reply to whatever thing that they said in the donation, and say just in a normal way as if I'm talking to a normal person. And I would appreciate that if a streamer did that for me. Like, just it's not about faking the reaction, because we all know by now that, like, if you're a big enough streamer, you are gonna the magic is gonna be lost. So I think it would be cooler if a streamer just talked to me like a normal person.
Maybe I worded that badly in that, like, it's not like I want to be like, oh my goodness, you just gave a subscription, that's the most amazing thing in the world. It's not that. It's just that, like, there's a certain automation to the process of, like, hey, thanks for the 3 months, appreciate it. And it just sounds so, like, been there, done that, don't really care. There's no acknowledgement of the fact that another human being is giving me their hard-earned money just for, like, no real reason. They don't know me, and that's something that's really incredibly cool and kind. And I want to be able to just tap into that a little bit better. But I like what you're saying about find something to say about the username or the comment or whatever. And
to be fair, your levels of enthusiasm in general is already more than the average person. Like, when what are you talking about? Like, I don't do what you just did. Yeah. Like, even when we're just talking off the podcast, this guy's a very theatrical person. So it's like, so it is natural. And so whatever a step below, whatever a level below that is already still enthusiastic. I don't think you'll ever be less enthusiastic than the average streamer. So I don't think that's a thing you should worry about. At least. Yeah, it's not so much about how it appears, so much as it is about how it feels. I think. You're getting money. Feel good about that. Well, I mean, yeah, and I'm incredibly grateful. I just feel that, like, maybe it is about how it appears. I feel as if it's not coming across that I am, but I am, and I want people to know that. If that's what you're worried about. It is coming across. I know that for sure. Speaking of creators and Twitch streamers, and an event that I literally just paid to watch, did you hear about the Creator Clash? I watched the Creator Clash. You watched Creator Clash? Yeah. Oh my god, that's awesome. Well, here's what's funny is that we've talked about, like, other YouTubers and streamers a bunch, and I've found out that Toby really doesn't know a lot of them, at least the ones that, I mean, a lot of even the famous ones. And I've, over the last year or so, have kind of formed parasocial relationships with a lot of these through like usually like YouTube clips and like or any like big event stream that they host. I don't usually tune into like just individual streams, you know, because I'm a busy guy, but I'm kind of addicted to just watching clips of all these streamers. All of like anybody from like the OTK group, OTV. I watched a lot of their videos. Ludwig's group, Samasan. But
I don't know. 90% of what you just said is just.
Well, for example, do you know Ludwig, right?
I've heard of Ludwig. I've seen Ludwig. I could, if you put him in a lineup, I could probably go, that's Ludwig. But other than that,
you definitely know Moist Critical, right?
I've heard the name.
Because he's also mostly a YouTuber too. Like, so he's like one of the biggest YouTubers as well.
I'm gonna Google him and look at his face.
So well, this is kind of proving my point that like that's why it's so surprising that you did watch Creator Clash, because for me, every single fight except for like two, like the only one that I didn't really care about as much, but it turned out to be an amazing fight, was AB versus the AB fight. Because I was a big fan of H3. Right. But every single fight, there was at least one person, sometimes two, both of them that I was a huge fan of. I'm a big Super Mega fan. Okay. I'm a big Game Grumps fan. I love iDubbbz. I love Michael Reeves. Internet comment etiquette, I'm a fan of too. Like,
you're right to be surprised, because I was not planning on watching it. It was just there were people in the room who were like, "This is going on tonight," and obviously I know it's a big deal in the world of content creation in general, and I was like, okay, let's put it on. I knew like 2 or 3 people who were there. I've just Googled Moist Critical, by the way. I looked at his face. I've seen his face. I've heard the name. Could not tell you.
Like, he's probably the most famous like YouTuber that is also a streamer. Like,
I would not be able to tell you that's Moist Critical.
Other than Valkyrie.
But like, I know the name and I know the face, but I wouldn't be able to tell you that's that or that's what that person is.
You definitely know the yeah baby memes.
Yeah, baby!
No, not that. Oh my god, that's hilarious. You don't know the yeah baby meme.
No, I don't know the yeah baby meme.
I mean, it's already old by now, but it's still like a thing that a lot, like at least a person who knows about meme culture definitely knows about.
What's the yeah baby meme?
It's literally just a clip from him, and that clip is a meme. Like, and
okay.
People try to emulate it. There's like different like ethnicities and races and religions, and just that. Like Moist Critical, like Black Moist Critical, Asian Moist Critical, Jewish Moist Critical, female Moist Critical. Like, they all just try to emulate his, because he has a very unique voice. He's very famous for also just how eloquent he is. He can literally talk for forever, use a billion synonyms, and like it's like he's a living thesaurus. And like he just knows how to just pull out like sayings and euphemisms and phrases that like I don't know where it comes from. So for example, he was one of the commentators. In that, like, he was only like there were 3 commentators. There were like 2 who I'm assuming are boxing commentators or sports commentators, and then along with them was Moist, because he actually knows all these streamers and knows about streaming culture and is a famous YouTuber. Right. And then the guy who was giving the interviews in the locker room, that's S-Fan, part of OTK, very famous streamer, very funny. Like, they did a really good job of like picking the different commentators, and also like the people who have like the roles of each person. Like, for example, do you know who Chills is?
No.
So Chills is the number 15 Burger King foot lettuce. That guy.
Yeah.
So he was the one doing the interviews. He was the one in the ring. He was the one doing the interviews in the ring after they win. Like, it's funny, but also works. Like, they all did a good job. There was no like it was a really well handled and really well organized event. Like, for example, even like the females that the first ever female boxing event was there between Minx and Haley. Minx, perfect person to choose. I love Justin Minx. She is so hilarious and but also like a huge woman relatively. While, for example, even though like the person that she fought against, Haley, was like relatively smaller, she did an amazing job. That was one of the best fights of the night, the ladies fight.
I actually missed that one. So I missed. I only saw the last 3 fights because we were watching Eurovision.
Oh, okay. Well, those are the best
because that was on, and then
usually I do watch Eurovision, by the way.
As that ended, we tuned in, and so it was like I think the Michael Reeves fight was the first fight that we saw. And that was a fun fight. Like, it was. I don't care about boxing. I don't know half these YouTubers. Like, I think the one I'm most familiar with is Dr. Mike. I've maybe seen a dozen of his videos. Everyone else I've maybe seen.
Have you watched the iDubbbz video?
Like once, one iDub. I have seen an iDubbbz content cop.
I've seen an
after
iDubbbz.
and like way after people were like, you need to be watching iDubbbz, whatever. Like I don't think it was even till last year I saw like an iDubbbz video, and then I've watched a Michael Reeves video, and I know Harley from Epic Mealtime only from his appearance in Video Game High School. So I've never even watched an Epic Mealtime video.
I haven't watched an Epic Mealtime video, but he's like an OG YouTuber. So
he's an OG
just a fan
YouTuber.
of YouTube culture, I guess.
And that's really. Oh, and I know Graham Stephan. I've watched like a dozen of his videos as well.
That's hilarious.
But that's it. That's like the lot. I don't know anyone else.
You've definitely watched a couple Egoraptor animations, though, right?
Probably.
Like the Pokemon Egoraptor at least video.
Yes, I have seen that. Yeah.
So Aaron, I guess, like Aaron again, that was the most unfair fight. But Aaron, again, almost every person that lost still has like major respect. Everybody's respecting him.
Yeah.
For example, so I'm a big fan of Super Mega, and the first two fights were Super Mega. So it was Matt versus Dad. Matt is Matt from Super Mega, and it was the shortest one. It was 22 seconds, dude.
Yeah,
it was
I heard
crazy.
about that.
It was hilarious. But then, for example, Ryan was the next fight. Ryan versus Alex. And that was the only fight other than the final fight that didn't have a TKO, that it lasted all full 5 rounds. And it was literally because Ryan is just such a trooper. Literally did not give up. Probably the number one person that I respect that night. Not only because I already respected him a lot, but because like I just found a newfound respect. Like now the problem is that it's a parasocial relationship. Honestly, I really love the guy, but it's like you can't help but seeing a guy who you love. For example, my brother watched it with me, and he's also a big fan of a lot of these people, and he's a big fan of Super Mega too. And he was watching. He was tearing up because he's like, we're watching a person that we like getting beat up and like bleeding, but he's still just going at it like an anime protagonist, and it was just so inspiring. But yeah,
it's such an odd thing because like I'm not into boxing like at all. The idea of watching people beat each other up for entertainment, that like on paper, that does not appeal to me at all. And I watched the Logan Paul fight back in the day, and like it scratched a little bit of an itch where I was like, haha, it's so funny to see these guys that I don't really like hitting each other. But like really, I didn't really enjoy it in any meaningful sense.
So here's what the enjoyable thing was.
But I enjoyed it here.
When you watch, I mean, you probably, even though you don't really care about these people, for example,
because there was really good like, I guess, stories, and there was really good the thing I really liked, the thing that won me over hugely was at the end of Harley's fight. The second it was over, he grabs his opponent, gives him a big hug, and checks if he's okay.
Exactly.
And I just thought that was the nicest thing. I was like, that's so good. Because like Harley's a big dude, and like I think there was a notable difference there, and I think Harley knows what the situation is, and so when they get into that fight and he's like just saying, hey, I hope you're okay, like, are we good? Like, I liked that was nice.
So that was pretty much every fight was exactly like that, and that's why it was so sweet. But I think, at least for me, it really was like watching characters that in like an anime battle. Honestly, like it was emotional because I know these people or care about them. While if it was like Logan versus KSI, I literally don't care about them. I mean, I know them as like they're very famous people, and it's funny to see people you don't really like that much, get beat up. But it's also like, I'm not gonna cry over it. While I almost teared up for Ryan, even Aaron, I'm like, dude, that's my boy. Like that, I don't want it. Like he really looks like he's having a tough time.
And that's the thing that I think makes it really good for them.
Or for example, the opposite, where like Michael is like, I love this guy. This guy has like crazy energy.
Yeah.
I knew that he was gonna be this entertaining, and he's fulfilling that exactly what I wanted him to do.
That's the other nice thing there, is that I think with characters like Logan Paul and KSI, you just assume that they actually do want to like hit each other a bunch.
True.
Whereas I think here, and that they're reveling in that. Whereas here, these guys know they're there to put on a show for charity, and they want to do good. They want to put on a good show, but they also don't want to actually like hurt the other person in some meaningfully big way. Like only what the other person's trained for and prepared for. And I think that means something as well. I think that's like adds to the emotional side of the fight because these guys are friends.
Because of that, there's also more pressure because they still want to win and put on a good show for charity. So they're really trying to beat up their person that they actually are on good terms with. And also the fact that they're not making any money from this is even more amazing because they're putting their bodies on the line for charity. It's just you have to respect every single person that was in this
100%,
event.
100%.
It was beautiful.
No, I thought it was great. I'm glad you brought that up actually because I had forgotten about that, and actually it was a really cool thing. Of course, the question is, Poketuber boxing when?
None of us could do any of that.
I cannot imagine. I'm not doing the training, and I'm not punching you.
I'm trying to think of one person that could do that. Who is the buffest Poketuber?
I feel like M&J is quite buff. I feel like he would knock me out. I feel like
but
he's
we
got
wouldn't
about it.
Like we have to pick people who are kind of similar. Like who's similar to me? I'm in height and weight. I don't know. I literally don't know the heights of anybody.
I don't know. I'd take you on in a fight. I don't know that I'd win. I think I could just about.
Do you know? No, you're definitely heavier than me. That's not an insult.
No, I mean, you're not wrong.
Because it really does seem like weight and height.
Yeah,
obviously
but
makes a difference.
clearly makes a difference.
Do you know your height in feet?
I do exactly. I'm 5 foot. I'm 5'8", and we just measured this today.
I'm 5'8" too.
Oh, that's so wild! I literally know this because we literally just measured it today at the gym. Then he was like, "We're gonna check that you're." But I've got a wider frame, and then the hair extends my height further.
So it gives you cushioning. Some good cushioning from the blows.
Protection. I got padding around. I got a lot of padding going on, but
apparently that's another reason why Harley was winning because he has the huge beard.
I guess that makes sense. I mean, it's just another
it's not the reason, but it's
diffuser, but
2% of the reason.
Wow.
I
couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I don't think I could. It's not that I wouldn't be willing to get punched. It's that I wouldn't want to. I don't know that I could punch my friends. I don't.
I'd cry.
I'd be. That's it. It'd be an awful show. I love you. I love you.
I literally don't know how, and nobody in the Creator Clash cried.
Yeah. I guess they got the adrenaline to focus on. They got the show. They probably had a lot of time to reconcile it, I guess, pre-show. But I really thought it was great. And I just, big respect to the people involved. I think it really felt like us gathered around the TV to watch that. It really felt like an event. And I thought it was great.
Okay, so if anybody knows a 5'8", around 150 pounds per Poketuber, let me know. I'll see what I can do about punching them in the face.
You know how people do that? They do the call outs. They're like, he's like, Doctor Disrespect, I'm talking to you. You're just like, vague 5'8" YouTuber. I'm talking to you. I challenge you, vague YouTuber.
I just wanna give you a little slap.
Amazing. Do you know who I want to fight? Ursaring.
I don't want to fight Makuhita. It's hilarious how the last 5 episodes, or basically literally every episode of this podcast, we've generated below average, in terms of popularity Pokemon. We have not generated a popular Pokemon. It would be cool if we did that today.
It would be nice. It would be good for the thumbnail. I feel like these Pokemon have been really mid. Go on. And the generated Pokemon is...
Dude, this will be hilarious if it's like literally semi-poor. Let's go...
It's not semi-poor.
It's a goofy Pokemon, but it's not like unpopular or anything, but it's not a popular Pokemon. It's Whiscash. It's just another goofy Pokemon.
That's so mid-tier.
Oh my god. What's going on?
This generator does not want us to do well. Like, give us a Charizard, give us a Mewtwo, give us something to put in a thumbnail, Hey, give us latest gen, give us a Calyrex we can work with it. A Whiscash.
I want a Sprigatito.
Yeah. I like Whiscash. I'm a big fan of the water ground Pokemon. I don't know why. True. It's a quad weakness, but I really I think all of them pretty consistently across the board.
As a kid, did you think it was electric type because of the W on it or whatever?
I did not.
Really?
I did not think that. Did you?
Yeah. What's funny is that I think that is a common a motif in Japan, at least, electric catfish, because in Splatoon, there's literally a character that looks like Whiscash. It's like this giant catfish. And it also has, I think, a scar like that. I definitely know scarring on big sea life is definitely in Japanese culture and motifs.
I definitely feel like I've seen things like that.
Like even Garchomp, who is just vaguely shark-like, has marks on him. Like every big sea creature has marks because of either hunting from humans, because it's whaling and dolphining. Is a big industry there. But also, apparently, how they've found sperm whales with giant scars on them.
What?
And it wasn't from humans; it was from giant squids.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's like
it's crazy.
The classic enemies is the giant squid versus the sperm whale. That makes sense. They got the beaks; they're sharp.
Definitely why I have thalassophobia, the fear of the deep ocean. Do you have that?
I think I do. I think there's I remember being on holiday somewhere, maybe in Cyprus, and we're at a beach and we're like snorkeling, and I got my head down in the water and I can see the bottom, I can see the floor, I can see that, and we're in the shallows, and then there's that sort of drop off point where it's just like endless.
Oh yeah, that is. Oh.
I hate everything about this. I need to get back. I need to be away from this, whatever this is.
Yeah, I can't do that. That imagery of that drop to darkness is not what I like to see. And I have a pool, right? At least my parents have a pool, right? And so I've been in there every summer. And if I just like close my eyes when nobody's there, like if I go to the pool by myself, I literally feel like I'm in the open ocean, and I just terrify myself.
Whoa! Did you as a kid ever do the thing where you'd imagine there's like sharks in a pool? Like you'd actually imagine that like there's a real shark could just show up in a pool, and what would you do? I've
imagined everything in a pool because I'm always just trying to find a game to play in the pool. Like I love creating games that like imitate like video games in real life. For example, as a kid, I would always play like real life Pokemon with my brother. Just like pick a Pokemon and just fight with our bodies.
Hang on. I want to know if we did it the same. How did you do it?
How did we pick a Pokemon, or how did we fight?
How did you fight?
You literally just like pretend like you're doing the moves of the Pokemon.
Yes, 100%. No, I did this all the time. This is like most of my playtimes is like go Snorlax,
exactly.
Use Hyper Beam, and then like putting my hands in front of me. That's 100%. And you just sort of decide who the winner is.
It's always the older sibling. I always kind of I won like 90% of the time. But it's cool. It's even cooler when you do like a whole roster. Like we would do it's always fun to be like, okay, I'm fainted, let me send in my next Pokemon. And it's just me again. Surprise. And it's just like I would always pick like I guess Pokemon that actually are physical attackers is more fun, I guess. Like we definitely did a lot of Blaziken, just a lot of kicking. A lot of Leaf Blade too from Sceptile.
It's an excuse to kick each other. The weirdest way I ever did it, was to then doing Yu-Gi-Oh, because Yu-Gi-Oh's the card game, right?
True, yeah.
So I'd stand there with an imaginary duel disc on my arm and an imaginary deck and draw cards and be like imaginary cards and decide what they are as I'm playing them. And the other kid just went along with it. We were just so cool with it.
That would be fun to have like a 4-on-4, like, where one person is the dueler and one is the card.
The card.
And you should switch every card, obviously, so it's fair. But and then it's easier with, I guess, Yu-Gi-Oh, because it's like more like, at least in real life, it would be more turn-based. So and you just have to like just run up to the person, slap him in the face, and then go back to go back. While in Pokemon, it's like I'm just grappling my brother. I wish Grapplocked was a thing back then. That would have been a good one to do. But it is always fun to to break out the like hyper beams and like like the earthquake. I don't know what I did for earthquake. I think I would literally pretend like I'm like jumping on the ground
on the earth and shaking it.
And I would go up to my brother and shake him, like just like take him and shake him.
I gotta know. How did you faint? How did you decide that you were fainted?
Okay, so it's either that's like clearly visible that the person did not like the previous attack, like almost to the point where you're gonna call the parent, or we would be like, okay, you clearly just did a very powerful attack, like a hyper beam or whatever, and either I'll be like, oh no, I held on with 1 HP, or
Yeah.
I'll be like, okay, I'll allow it just so we can. I'm probably bored of the Pokemon that I'm using. Anyways,
Yeah.
I want to use a Ice Beam now.
You end up in a situation like I feel like we used to do it. We'd like not drop to the floor, but like go limp sort of at the waist, and you'd sort of like keel over and like, blah, I'm dead. It's like,
How else are you gonna pretend faint?
I guess. I just feel I like to imagine the teacher perspective on that on the playground, like watching the kids doing that, just thinking, what are they up to? But they know because they did it. They did it as well, I assume.
The best place to do it in my house was in the basement because it's more open and we actually have carpet there. So we would put like music in the background, and sometimes we would like print out like in PowerPoint or Microsoft Word, we would make like a chart of our team with the moves and everything, and bring that to the fight. Obviously, my brother did not enjoy it as much as me because he was younger. He was getting beat up more. But and I wish it would have been really cool if we were like even, and then we would probably do it way more. Because I would always have to like I would kind of have to beg him to do it.
Sure, let's play Pokemon. Let's play Pokemon. You just want to hit me. I don't want to hit you. Let's play Pokemon.
It's always cool when also like we'll talk about this in the final segment. We're gonna continue our upbringing and stuff. We'll talk about our siblings. Like my siblings actually are huge Pokemon fans just like me. So they know what they're doing. They're not just like spamming flamethrower from a Charizard. What's also cool is that, at least for me, I also had a lot of Fakemon that I created myself as a kid.
Cool.
So I'd say 20% of these fights we did like Fakemon fights. That was really fun. Those were the times.
Stuff's awesome. Stuff's awesome. I want to go back because you were telling about like coming up with games and like playing games in the pool, and it reminded me of one that we used to play, which is a game of Shark, which is. So you've got one person who's basically it, as if it's like tag or whatever, and their eyes are closed. And if this only really works in a small pool or a small area of pool, but then you've got like 4 or 5 friends who are going around as quietly as they can in the pool, trying not to make too much noise. And then the idea is you make a splash noise. The shark like leaps towards you, and they've got to try and tag you while blind, effectively, just using the sound to get you. And that was like I feel like we did that a lot on holiday. Or failing that, if you've got a circular pool, just creating a whirlpool. Me and my brother used to do that all the time. Cool.
We still do that.
Yeah, still do that. 100%.
I mean, we don't have a circular pool. We have like a rectangular pool, and it still works, I guess. It's really, and then it creates a current, and you just, to anybody who hasn't done it, you literally just spin around the pool for like 5 minutes. It creates a current, and then you're basically dragged by the water without doing anything, and it's like as if you're in a lazy river. It's really cool, and it's cool when you do it like in like summer camp with like 20 people. Oh my god, that gets wild! Like if people are drowning.
That's awesome.
Oh, it's so fun.
That's not something we have in the. I mean, maybe we do have it in the UK. I don't know. I never went to like a summer camp, but I feel like that's a quintessential part of the American experience. No.
So, yeah, it probably is. Everybody is familiar at least with it. I haven't gone to like a sleepaway camp or anything like that. I've gone to like day camp. I wouldn't be able to stay in a cabin for more than a day because of my arachnophobia and just the need to just be clean. And also, it's mostly like sports. That's what you're doing most of the time, right? I wouldn't enjoy that. Well, for example, a day camp, you're going on a lot of trips, a lot of like games that are like not sturdy. And you're also not always going to the pool. Like I don't like going to like public pools, or I like heated pools that are clean.
Sure.
So, and in a day camp, you barely go to the pool. Well, I'm assuming you probably just swim in the river, in a lake, in a sleepaway camp, which I would not be able to do.
That sounds like so much fun. I wouldn't have enjoyed it as a kid, but like I'd enjoy that now. We should do again. We'll do YouTuber boxing, and then we'll do YouTuber sleepaway camp, and we'll get everyone together.
That's just camping.
I mean, when you put it like that, it now sounds really boring.
I mean,
I want the American experience, Ron.
A lot of streamers do that. For example, so I'm a big fan of also like Cutie Cinderella. She's the girlfriend of Ludwig. She's as funny as Ludwig. She's like, she deserves the fame that she's starting to get. She's very good at creating events. For example, she was the one who did the Streamer Award. She's the one who put that together. Cool. That was an amazing event. And so she's just really good at making events. And some of them she does like these just camps she brings the streamers, and they do a lot of activities. They did a girls trip. It was I watched the first night of it. It was amazing. But then one of them got COVID and they had to cancel it. This whole event that she was planning for months. It was amazing. It was gonna be so funny. Just girl streamers and YouTubers. Like, I mean, they're all streamers, but some of them have YouTube channels too.
Yeah.
But it's sad. It's sad when you create these events and then things go wrong. That's why I would not have the courage to make an event like this. But it would be cool if we did like a Poketuber event, something like that, where we just come together, do Pokemon related challenges in like in the woods or something, or just in a normal city.
I really would.
But that would be impossible, because at least for streamers, a lot of them kind of live around each other. They all live in either Texas or California, while there's no Poketuber city.
No, sure.
I mean, we have Pokeathon. Yeah. Pokeathon, I think we should start. We're gonna go back to real life live action Pokeathon where we're all together.
Yeah.
Do you know if you're gonna be able to do that?
Yeah, well, I got a message about it, and I would love to do it. But there was talks about dates, and some of the dates sounded a little bit close to Scarlet and Violet for my liking. Yeah. And I was like, there's just no way. Like, for me, that time of year is just so busy. Exactly. I just can't.
They may make it a little later than we thought. They may put it in because that is a common problem for all of us. I don't know why they decide to always do it literally a few weeks after the release of a new generation. They literally did that last year, like the release of Sword and Shield. We had Pokeathon a few weeks after that. And they may. How does like mid-January sound to you?
Way better. Like, so I can work with that.
Make sure you told them. Make sure you told them.
Yeah. No, I have. I'll double check that I have. But the idea of like doing Scarlet and Violet in, say, like even October, November, and then in December doing it sounds like, I don't know. But the idea of like, okay, January there's time, I can get to the new year and go out and do it. I would genuinely, even if it was just for Pokeathon, in a heartbeat.
For anybody who doesn't know what Pokeathon is, because it would be definitely cool if we could advertise it, is every year Poketubers and streamers come together and just play a lot of Pokemon-related games and events for charity. I've been on it for, 3 years in a row? Toby's been on it, 2?
Two, I think, yeah.
Literally amazing event. Make sure to always follow us on Twitter and stuff like that so you know when those happen. It's a thing I look forward to every year. Especially as a socially anxious person like me, it definitely takes. I'm always nervous around that time, but it's always worth it in the end. Very cool.
It was a lot of fun when we did it, and it's such a nice chance for us to come together and all do something like objectively good. Because I think it's hard to. We make videos about Pokemon, so it's kind of hard to find deep value in necessarily what we're doing, and then it's like, oh cool, we're all gonna come together for a weekend, raise a ton of money for charity and do this. Like, that's actually a really rewarding experience. It's really it's nice hearing you talking about all the things that you did as a kid and like your experiences as a kid. I think that probably segues us really nicely onto the final topic, which we wanted to follow up on sort of last week a little bit, right?
Yeah, so last week, if you didn't watch it, we talked about our upbringing, specifically our parents, because it really does tell you a lot about our perspective, our current perspective, because it literally stems from how we were brought up. But now I think we should go a little quicker and talk about our siblings, our school environment, siblings, friends in school. Oh yeah, friends too.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's always how so you should tell me, because I don't know. I know that you have siblings. You've got older and younger, is that right?
Nope, I'm the oldest.
You're the oldest.
I have a younger brother and a younger sister. My brother is 4 years younger than me. My sister's almost 9 years younger than me.
Wow.
I think this is definitely different from what I've heard about your dynamic, which is the fact that they all kind of have my interests, and that happens usually when the older brother kind of imprints the interests onto the other people. It's really interesting how it evolved and diverged from my interests. For example, like I'm not a gamer, but I played video games as a kid, right? A lot of Pokemon, a lot of Nintendo, Mario, and then my brother kind of latched on to that and became just like a gamer. Like, I barely play any video games. My brother plays it every day, some kind of video game, and that's part of his identity, and that stems technically from my interest, but by now it's not. It's
Yeah.
like, well, for example, my sister, I'm a huge fan of anime. And my sister by now has watched more anime than me because she's a teenager and has more time to watch anime. And I've discovered anime I mean, I knew about anime before I was an adult, but I only started watching it once I started college. And what's cool is that both of my siblings are huge Pokemon fans, huge anime fans, love video game culture, and I'm grateful for that. Honestly,
it's so cool. So they must. You think they must like what you do, and they share an interest in that, and think it's really cool.
Yeah, I think both of my sisters, my sister and my brother,
dunk
on my brother. They definitely have more not addicted personalities, but they're the things that they love. They just like do it every day or do a lot of it. For example, my sister, like both of them they love binging. I do not like binging anime.
Okay.
While my brother and sister, whenever they watch an anime, they binge it, and that's one reason why my sister has watched so much anime by now. But also, for example, my brother just when he plays a game, he wants to finish it. Not so much nowadays because I guess this is talking about our siblings. My brother is a very social person, has 10 times more friends than the average person even. Because he has 50 work friends. He has 30 friends throughout his life, and
cool.
And he has this group of friends of really close 5-6 friends that he literally talks to every night. Hangs out on Discord playing video games. He really was lucky that he found this group of people in high school that all have the same interests, and they just
amazing.
And he also has a pool of friends from each friend too.
Social butterfly.
Yeah, he's a social butterfly. That's not what I was looking for, but that's definitely he's called himself a social butterfly because apparently people have called him a social butterfly. So that's my brother. If you're asking what my brother is as a person, he also has OCD. All of us have some kind of anxiety disorder.
It sounds like I'd get on with your siblings in general a lot.
Yeah, they definitely would. I mean, they love you already. My sister watches you, and my brother. Oh, you did mention.
I didn't know if I had imagined that. You did say that.
Yeah,
cool.
True.
Well, I'll come hang out. I'll come hang out with everyone, and then we'll all hang out together. Would you hang out? Would you hang out with your siblings?
I did, but again, for example, my brother is now just always just busy, whether with friends or work. And my sister. I mean, I actually do hang out with my sister more than my brother technically nowadays. Even though as a kid I definitely hung out with my brother more, but it's not we hang out. I mean, we do. Never mind. I technically hang out with them more than my actual friends. But because we'll go to the movies. I'll go to movies with my brother and sister because they have the same interests. They love the MCU. They love. They'll watch the Sonic movie with me. My brother watched the Sonic movie twice. He watched it with his friend group and then with me and my sister.
Oh, great!
The second one at least. It's so yeah, we definitely do hang out a lot. Not just hanging out going to dinner or something like that, or just playing a video game, but it's usually if there's an actual event or thing that we need to go to and we all have interest in that, we'll go together.
And what do they do / sort of want to do with the future? In
the future. So my brother, he studied marketing.
You sound quite unsure, and he might be listening to this.
He's not going to even use this anymore because he now works at the Apple Store.
Oh, cool.
Which is apparently a dream job. It's he loves it, and he has room for going up the
Scaling
corporate
up,
ladder.
Yeah.
And so apparently that's his future, being a high-ranking Apple employee or something.
Well, he might work in marketing at Apple eventually.
But he's not. That's not what he's doing. He's not doing advertisements for Apple or anything. He's literally just in the Apple Store, but he's also apparently the best in his store. Out of 50 people, he's the one that, for example, there was a competitive 100 people vying for a job, and he kind of technically got it.
I feel like that this is screaming I don't know what the word is, like, reference to your brother, because you've just said, like, he's a social butterfly, and then you've told me that he's, like, the best guy in the Apple Store, and, like, the Apple Store is, like, famously, like, they're all ultra social, and they're all like, hey, you need any help? Well, you just let me know. My name's been David, and I've been here today at Apple, and it's like, I'm just like, your brother is clearly some kind of social aficionado that, like, just gets charisma.
Yeah, 20 charisma points. But what's funny is that it is a running joke, because my brother always just comes home with some kind of like story about just how awesome his day was, like how everybody clapped at work for him or something like that. One time in high school, like apparently in music class, everybody, like they had like an exercise where they had to like stay on beat, and for some reason he was the only one that was able to clap on beat or something, even though like it seems like a normal thing, and then everybody was in awe. So now it's like, oh, like my brother's the best at clapping. every small thing that he tries, he'll be able to succeed, and and everybody will praise him for. Not in real life, but like that's just the running joke. Well, my sister, on the other hand, well, again, this really is related to, for example, my brother really does have OCD, like actual obsessive compulsive disorder that he developed. I mean, maybe at a different time we'll tell actual stories about our siblings. Right now it's just who they are. But so I'll talk about maybe, if he's comfortable, how he got that OCD, because
are we doing names? I realize that you haven't actually, and I haven't shared my brother's name or anything, but are we doing names? I don't know. They want to stay under the radar.
I'll do names. Like, he's been on my channel, and my sister was about to be on my channel one time, but then I scrapped that video because she was very young at the time. That was like the first year of my channel, and it was not entertaining. But Daniel is my brother, and
cool.
He basically. So he has OCD. My sister, Rose, she has just general anxiety disorder, and I have social anxiety disorder. So somehow along the line, we've developed anxiety disorders, all for completely different reasons.
Right.
Again, maybe one day we'll talk about just development of these disorders.
Sure. Yeah.
While my parents, they have no anxiety disorders, although obviously like the mother has classic like just maternal anxiety. And she may have ADD. That's a thing that we always talk about, but she probably doesn't. But I guess it really maybe is the internet age. I think, at least I know that me and my brother, the reasons we have our anxiety disorders it's definitely the internet. it's like 50% of that. My sister is definitely way less social, but not as social. She's socially anxious because she just is anxious about everything, but not as socially anxious as I am. So because of that, she still has. She's formed a friend group, which is cool because it's an online friend group. I mean, it's people that are from the area that she hangs out with, but they're not from the same school. They all just talk every night, play Genshin Impact or something like that, or any video game, watch anime. They'll have the same interests, which is crazy to me because that's not a thing that happened. That's not a thing that we could do, at least when I was young.
No, for sure. And I mean, like Phoebe does that, right? She'll play games all night. She's got her Discord server. She's got her friends in there.
I don't do that even now.
I don't do that now.
I wish I did.
She's like, I'm playing Overwatch. I'm like, yeah, I'm working, dude. I'm working. When am I not? But
yeah. So that's she wants to be her hobby is baking. Her hobby is cool. Also like her interests are the same as mine.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna get on. I'm really excited to meet your siblings now.
She wants to be a pastry chef one day, but we've already like drilled into her that's a hard job to be successful at. You know.
Don't crush her dreams.
I'm trying to find a way to make it seem like we didn't crush her dreams, but it's like. It's not like it's just like the classic, you know, the parents are obviously going to tell her to not.
Well, you start, you get practice. She likes baking, she'll bake a bunch, and then she'll be better at everyone else than baking, and she'll bake some more. Some people are skilled and have that kind of intuition, and then and talented. Sorry, some people are talented and have that intuition, and other people are skilled, right? They develop that over a long time. And obviously, if you can have both, that's great. And if you can be naturally gifted or talented at something, that's awesome. But I am fully of the belief that someone can become skilled if they just train hard enough and for long enough, and they might have more of an uphill battle, but like can definitely make a name for themselves. So I don't know, I'm just saying this to Rose: live your pastry dreams.
She listens to the podcast, by the way.
Cool, good. Yeah, no, listen to Toby. Ignore naysayer Ron.
It's funny because we're talking about it as if she's like about to enter college. She's still in high school. She has time to even think about it, and even like
all
you said,
the time in the
grow
world.
in her baking skills. She's already good. It's just
I think there like I definitely, when I was that age, moving into like college and then university, my thoughts about how life was gonna go very different to obviously like how it actually has gone, and like what the hopes were and that kind of thing. And definitely had different views about the things that I wanted to do growing up.
It's funny because my life is kind of not the opposite, but like a circle where originally as a kid I'm like, yeah, I'll be a YouTuber. And I tried being a YouTuber at age like 13. That didn't end up. I'm like, okay, now let me be serious. Let me be an animator. Even though that's always like, that's a dream job, not like a serious job. And then I'm like, okay, wow, I'm actually going through the path. I'm going through school. I got my degree in 3D animation. And then I'm back to YouTube, where I go, now I'm more successful as a YouTuber than I would ever be as like an animator. Like even monetarily, like there's no reason to at least be an animator, at least money wise, because I'm kind of making more than an animator right now. But also I'm, at least for the last two years, I also found like series that I'm very fulfilled in. So it's like, it's funny because I'm back to the dream job, but the dream job was actually kind of the first job I tried already, like as a kid.
That's interesting to me that you wanted to be a YouTuber when you were 13, because like surely that can't have been a thing for 5 minutes at that point.
What's funny is that I didn't even watch YouTubers at the time. It was really just like, I was already making videos. I was just a video maker already by age like 12. I had the cassette camcorder, right, and I would make videos with that with my brother. Oh, that's a big thing that we did all the time. Make like funny videos, home videos. Like we had this like show that we had called Random Valley. So it's just literally just like imagine SNL but made by children.
Cool, brilliant.
In a camcorder, and like we I didn't know how to edit at the time. We basically did what you basically do on TikTok or Vine, where you just like cut and you just stop recording and that's the cut. And then you just keep on recording. That's the next take. And we did some good stuff with that. One day I'll show you guys on Twitter. Maybe post like a short. It's very embarrassing, and I shouldn't be doing that. But especially because like it's not just me; it's my brother, and like half of it we're just like in our underwear, like because nobody's gonna watch it. Nobody's gonna watch it. We're only watching it ourselves, so we're like we didn't put on clothes.
Do you know what? Me and my brother did something very similar actually. So I've got an older brother called Theo. He's 2 years older than me.
Yeah.
And we used to put on productions in the garden. I'd remember as kids, we'd be like, we're doing a play. You should all, adults, come outside and watch us do this play. And the play would be like, probably just us in our dressing gowns or like nothing at all, just running around with lightsabers. And it would be like a 5-minute, what seems to us like hour-long full story, usually involving a fight at some point. And, you know, our parents would come out and humor us, and that was sort of like, obviously thinking about it now, I can imagine in the future, I will have to be a parent, not a parent, a friend at a house of a friend who is a parent, and they're going to subject me to like, oh, the kids have put on a play, come out and watch, and I'm going to have to be there, and I'm going to have to be like, yeah, they're so talented, and be like, I hate every moment of this. I apologize to my parents' friends who I subjected that to.
One of the things I regret doing in my life was I would make a lot of like maybe even stop motion, not really stop motion, but like a lot of kids did it, play pretend with your like Pokemon action figures. And like make a story, but I would actually record them and do cuts and stuff like that with my camcorder. Again, this is before I knew how to edit. This is I was 12, I was a child. But one day, my grandpa, who only speaks Hebrew and Arabic, obviously, not obviously, but he's from an Arabic-speaking country. I just made him watch this. He doesn't know what the hell's going on. Doesn't know what Pokemon is. Doesn't speak English. I made him watch this like 6-minute, and it's not even funny for an English-speaking Pokemon fan.
Yep.
And I am the disappointment on his face, like how bored he was.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I still remember that.
Oh, you're like bringing back, it's like memory unlocked, and this isn't good at all, but you're doing this to me now. I had I guess family friends, they were over. They're like my dad's best friends or something like that. And and this lady, I dragged her upstairs to watch the Pichu Brothers short at the beginning of the third movie, which is majority just Pokemon. It's majority just Pokemon talking to each other going, Pichu, Pichu, oh no! So there's like no human dialogue in it. And at, like, age, I don't know, like 10, I'm like dragging them upstairs like, you gotta watch So Funny, ha 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 ha. And I think it got to like halfway through the Pichu short. And those shorts are short. It got halfway through the Pichu short. She's like, all right, I'm just gonna go downstairs to mum and dad now. I was like, but you've only just seen, there was a Gyarados there, you just missed. They're not that cool.
What's funny is that I did something similar. I had a birthday party when I was 8, and I made all the guests watch Destiny Deoxys.
That's painful.
We didn't get through all of it. It was my favorite movie at the time. It was definitely my favorite Pokemon movie at the time. I watched it at least like 10 times.
Well, my big brother, I would not be into Pokemon today if it, well, maybe I would, I don't know, but certainly, so we have the opposite experience. You're the eldest, I'm the youngest. Yeah. And so I look up to Big Brother, and he, when we were on holiday, had Pokemon Silver version, and I got Pokemon Yellow. And that immediately, that difference between Gen 1 and Gen 2, and him being the older and me being the younger, meant it was literally a case that when I eventually got Crystal, I was getting to not only explore a whole new region, it wasn't that, it was I was getting to level up like my big brother and play the game that he got to play that had all of my Pokemon, but everything else as well. It was almost like I was playing the baby version, he was playing the adult version. Okay. And so I got to access everything. And for the first time, you know, like he had got a level 100 Pokemon before me, and I couldn't even like manage that in my game. He had a level 100 for Alligator. His starter was Totodile. That's why my starter was Totodile, because he had used Totodile and I wanted to be like Big Brother. And then amazingly in the game there's Birdkeeper Theo and Birdkeeper Toby, which is where the name Birdkeeper Toby comes from. So that's kind of how that started. And we used to...
What a coincidence that the same trainer class has both your names.
And that's why I remembered it. And we used to sit at the top of the stairs in my house, and we'd have our Game Boys out and we'd play. And I think we shared a room for a lot of our childhood. As we got older, there was a lot of friction, so we just didn't. But for a lot of our childhood, we just shared a room.
I shared a room with my brother until I was 19.
Wow. Yeah, no, I couldn't get past about 13.
I could not do it during his Minecraft phase, dude. Because he would just be on call with his friends playing Minecraft for like 5 hours during the night. It was not fun.
See, that wasn't a thing when we were kids. When me and Theo were kids, like, I wasn't on the internet and neither was he.
Yeah.
And so we would just, but like what we irritated each other. We really, I think by the time, it was sad because I felt great sadness about this, and I hope he wouldn't mind me saying, because we're in a much better place now. We're good friends, nice. I think, now. But at age sort of 12, 13, he stopped liking Pokemon. And actually, he was running with a group. He was hanging out with friends that were cool kids, that were, you know, a little bit naughty, and they weren't gonna necessarily stay at school for the whole school day, if you catch my drift. And I was like...
They're murdering people?
No, what? Murder? No, they weren't that naughty, blimey. No, but you know, I wasn't like that. I felt that my big brother was a big social butterfly, but also that he was like willing to take a lot more risks than me. He was a lot more impulsive than I was, and I felt quiet and small, and I wanted to be not seen at that age, at like 12, 13, and he was, you know, and there was it sort of got that he was maybe a bit of a troublesome teenager for my parents, and like it was constantly I was hearing, he's done this, and I was just like, we just sort of like lost that kind of friendship, and actually there was a lot of friction over the years, but that doesn't really matter, because as we became adults and as we become adults, he has been just the most supportive. Like, he's like, dude, I am so proud of you, I'm so proud of everything you do, and I'm really proud of everything he's doing. He's got his life in a good way, and I'm just happy for him. If he could do anything, what he loves doing is fishing. He spends 90% of his time wherever possible, when he's not making money, he's out on a lake somewhere fishing, and he's got an Instagram. It's just him with fishes, looking happy, holding fishes.
I actually want to see his face. So that's cool.
I will link it to you.
What's the age difference, by the way?
2 years.
Oh, that's nice.
And we're similar in a lot of ways. Like, there is these traits that I mentioned earlier, his impulsivity, his social butterflyness. Like, I have that too.
Yeah.
We got them in very different ways, and they presented very differently.
That's crazy. So you guys have the same personality traits, but not the same interests?
Yeah, we have none of the same interests.
That's the opposite of me and my brother. That's hilarious.
This is the funniest thing. The amount of times I've thought, oh man, in a moment of I want to connect more with my brother, maybe I should go fishing with him sometime. And then I just think, I would hate that.
Really?
I would hate fishing. That sounds miserable. I couldn't think of anything I'd like less. But it's his favorite thing, and I'm so happy that he's happy and loving it. So I'm just proud of him. He's doing good stuff. But we're not like, we're mates. We're mates, and like we get on, and we don't hang out. Like we would never go and see a film together. But that's not because we wouldn't get on or enjoy that.
Yeah.
Like enjoy spending time together. It's more a case of like, I can't think of a single film that we would both want to watch and get equal enjoyment out of.
Wow.
I can't. We just don't. Like, maybe a comedy or something, but like, we just don't engage with the world it's like we engage with the world the same, but we receive stuff so differently. It's bizarre.
I think it works that way because, at least for me, for example, if I did not share interests with my siblings, I would probably have gone crazy because I barely talk to other people. I wish my friends are just not near me anymore, and we barely hang out. While the people I see way more are my siblings, and so I'm able to be like, oh, did you catch that episode of Attack on Titan, or did you see the Pokemon news, or watch that new Pokemon short, or did you, or do you want to go watch the MCU movie or whatever? While you don't need to, you have other people in your life. No, you don't need your brother in that respect.
I mean, so tell me about the friends that you did have sort of growing up.
True. So what's funny is that okay. The question is, are we talking about elementary school or high school? I guess we're talking about both.
Whoever stands out, who survived the test of time in your brain.
Well, technically only one I still hang out with regularly, which is my best friend. But like even then, I see him once every 3 months even. In elementary school, I went to a private school. I went to a Jewish school for elementary school and high school. So that means way smaller school. Like I'm talking about, like in elementary school, 30 people in a grade. In high school, 50 something people in a grade. So you're basically friends with pretty much everybody in the grade. And in the weekends you would hang out with them and just walk around town. But like, for example, in high school, I went to school in New Jersey, which is like 40. Like I would have to commute 45 minutes every day and back. And so I would never really hang out with my high school friends after school. But our school days were very long, like from 9 to 5. So I'm with them more than the average person, at least in terms of, being with them at school. So, and I was basically, in terms of high school, I was kind of, it's funny, I'm not a social butterfly, but I would hang out with people from every clique or group. So I was way more social in high school, and I was definitely socially anxious, but I didn't have full-blown social anxiety disorder, because I was friends with pretty much everybody. I was part of many clubs, and even heads of some of those clubs, like video club and stuff like that. And everybody in the school knew me, like even from other grades, because I was Ron. I was the video guy. I was the artist. I was in student council. I was in a lot of things. But then you graduate, and all of that goes away, and it's like, and especially since the fact that I went to a private school, so a lot of these people are rich, not me, but right. A lot of these people are rich, so they're going very far away. They're going to crazy high school, crazy colleges. Like I have people who went to Harvard and Yale and stuff like that, and or they're just like, they didn't stay in the tri-state area for college. Why would they? And then even after that, right now, some of them a lot of them are doing their doctors or being lawyers or like, and still in school basically, and they just don't have time to hang out with me because they're not even near me. While some did move actually to New York City, but even then they're just always busy with work or studying. Or what's crazy is New York City's big, so it's like even if you live in New York City, if you live in a completely different borough, you barely see the person. But for example, like my other best friends, like one of them is a pilot. He's a pilot, so he's not gonna be here. He doesn't live here anymore. He lives, I think, in like Colorado or something. And like he's traveling the world. My other best friend literally disappeared in senior year. He like moved away. Nobody knows why. Hasn't communicated since. And he wasn't that good of a friend. He was like a kind of a bully, and like people like he was a very handsome guy, very popular in the beginning of high school. But then slowly you realize he's not that nice of a guy. And everybody, what's cool is that my grade in high school, again, it's a small grade, so everybody knows each other and everybody's nice to each other. So the people who are just not nice, even if they're popular, they're gonna stop being popular. And that's definitely how I've gotten my values. For example, I'm always hopeful that people are nice, and like I have faith in a lot of people because I had the best grade in high school, and even the best grade for that school. Like everybody always says, like, nah, that grade, that was a model grade. That everybody there is nice. Like while the grade below us and above us, they had no conviction. They didn't really do a lot of things. They weren't part of clubs. There were a lot of bullies sometimes. But like my grade, nah, everybody was at least nice.
Oh, that sounds so amazing. I'd be so fascinated if we could have swapped places for a day for your school experience.
And that was my school experience. We're going to talk about our school experience because we don't have time next time.
Yeah.
Right now we're just talking about friends and like our how we formed our opinion of people in general.
Sure. Was there any one specific person that really like stuck out to you that you're like, they're the friend?
Well, yeah, my best friend, Natani.
Sure.
But because again, I had other best friends, but like I barely talk to them because they're not near me.
No, sure.
And I'm terrible at like communicating, and like it's always like there's always that thought of like if it's not my fault if they're also not reaching out, you know. So it's like
no, sure. I get that a lot with friendships where I'll think, I haven't spoken to this person in so long, I should message them, and then I think, hang on, they haven't messaged me.
Exactly.
Why do I have to message them? I'm busy. I know I'm busy. Why am I? But I'll do it anyway. If I care about the person, I'll just, because if we both keep doing that, then no one's going to message anyone. But like, eventually there comes a point where it's like, well, actually, this person, I feel like I've been the instigator. I had friends who I was so close with, even in recent years, like we're talking about friends from like 2016, 2017, where I felt like we used to talk all the time. And I would message them after a while of not hearing it and say, hey, how's things going? And they go, yeah, good. How's things going? Oh, yeah, good, cool. We should hang out sometime soon. Yeah, no, I'd love that. Radio silence. And I just think, okay, whatever's going on with you. And then actually it would continue. And then I'd sort of go, I just think I'm going to stop messaging this person. This person knows where I'm at. They know where I'm at. They know I'm here. And if they pop back on the seat, genuinely, if that person pops back up, I've got no ill feelings. I'm like, okay, cool, wonderful. I'm glad you're about. But I'm not going to keep like pursuing friendships where it's like, I've tried, I've put in the work, I don't know where you went, and that's fine. And there are a couple people like that, and sometimes that's just personality type, sometimes it's something they're doing to everyone, and sometimes maybe you just think that you develop a friendship and maybe it was a little bit more peripheral for someone else than maybe you realized or thought. Okay, that's a shame. Oh, and sometimes people's just circumstances change. They move away, or they're just not interested in this circle or that circle anymore, and they just kind of fall out of the fold, and that's fine too.
The problem is for me that it's not that I assume the worst, but I always want to make the other person comfortable, and if they haven't like talked to me in a long time, I just assume that it would be awkward if I start talking to them again. At least for them. Like for me,
sure.
It'll be awkward, but like I want to be friends with you, but I don't want to make you feel uncomfortable.
See, I don't mind if someone's been ignoring me for like, I don't know, 2 years, and I've messaged them, I don't know, 3 or 4 times to say like, hey, how's things going? I do not mind making that person uncomfortable because it's like, because it's like, okay, well, in the politest way possible, screw you. I'm here as a friend. If you're not, that's fine. But no, I mean, obviously after half a dozen times,
true.
It's like half a dozen times after over 2 or 3 years, it's like, okay, if I've realized I'm the only person instigating, because I think oftentimes you don't necessarily even think about it. You're just, I'll message someone, see how they're doing. I'll message someone, see how they're doing. And at some point you realize they never messaged me. What's that about? And I don't know. I try not to. I'm quite a busy person, so I don't think about this a lot. This is probably the most I've ever given thought to this topic in my life. Well, yeah, I do not think about this often at all.
First, you put a different perspective on it, so I was always worried that I'm going to make the other person uncomfortable because they don't want to talk to me. But if they don't want to talk to me, then why should I care about them being uncomfortable?
Yeah, for no reason. It's like, especially if you're like, if you're just like, we were friends. I'm not talking about, for anyone who's listening to this and they're like, Toby, it just sounds like you're a bit overbearing and people don't want to hang out. And it's like, that's fine if that's the case. But like, I am genuinely talking about what I believed to be friendships, like actual two-way dynamics that are like, I think I know this person quite well, that I think they know me quite well. We trust each other with information, and we trust each other with like good vibes and good times, go out for drinks, and then suddenly there's just a prolonged period of silence. Despite the fact that nothing's happened, it's not like there's been a falling out or even an exchange of awkward information, or it's just that dynamic's over. And sometimes friendships... I was watching a really powerful TikTok earlier, and it was saying, it was good. It's kind of morbid, it's kind of sad, but just stick with me. One day, eventually, all of your friends will disappear, either by leaving your life in some way or another, or eventually they'll pass away, right? It's miserable, obviously. And then eventually you'll do it, right? So if every friendship is finite anyway, don't worry about the ones that kind of come in and then disappear, because it's just you think of it as a honor and a nice thing that you got to spend time with people, and you got to be friends in that moment, because everyone's on different paths anyway, and sometimes you are just kind of passing ships in the night.
But here's the problem with my, at least, friendships and friend groups, is that even the people that I thought, the friendship is not over, but like we're not going to be friends anymore, because just our lives have taken us in different paths. A lot of times they do come back in some, not that we become friends again, but like I see them at a party, or they're invited to the same thing, or we do hang out one time, and then they realize, why haven't we communicated again in a long time? Like it was never like a bad experience when I see them again, especially since, like I said, that everybody, that at least I was kind of friendly with everybody in my grade, that like I don't know which ones were the ones where like those are the kind of people that I want to hang out with as an adult, or it's just that we were, we just hung out in school and we got along, but we weren't like, we didn't share the same interests, or like for example, I had a friend who I hung out with a lot in high school, in the at least senior year. We were not friends during the first 3 years because we never talked, and then we find out that we connect really well. What's funny is that he did not like Pokemon.
Okay.
And then I saw him like every other year, but then literally like during the pandemic, I talked to him, because I guess I do talk to him at least once every 2 years at least. And it turns out he's now a huge Pokemon fan. Definitely like is into like the actual competitive VGC, watches Wolfie, watches like all these VGC people, even watches my stuff sometimes. And it's just such a waste that we weren't like, he didn't like
better
that.
friends.
Because if he liked Pokemon as a in high school, the friendship would last forever. We're still friends, and I can still initiate this.
Maybe it will become more of a thing. Maybe it will become more of a thing.
I hope it does. Like, it's just that I did reach out to him a few months ago. No, it was almost a year ago, and I'm like, can we hang out during the summer? Can we hang out? Like, let's just meet each other at like Central Park. Let's hang out. We did. It was amazing. It was the one friend I've ever was able to talk about like Poketubers stuff, and he knew who I was talking about.
Who you talking about? Yeah, exactly.
And it sucks that that's how it is in adulthood. It's just like, unless you literally live next to each other or work with each other, you can't really.
So, I mean, sometimes it depends, because obviously the town I live in and the town I grew up in it's small enough that in 30 minutes you can walk from one side to the other, which means the people that I went to school with are within close proximity. And in fact, I am surrounded by people. They work in the service industry, at restaurants, in shops that I frequent, and some of them I'm on speaking terms with and others I'm not. And everyone's within a sort of distance unless they've moved away. Because I still live in the hometown when I grew up. It's like there are friends that I have, only one or two, that I'll make a really conscious effort to like, hey, I haven't seen you in a couple months. Let's meet up, go for a drink, go for a meal, and just like touch base. The weirdest thing is that like probably one of my oldest friends, a friend of mine, Jordan, now lives in my old bedroom at my parents' place.
Sorry, my alarm went off. My alarm is Jubilife City.
That's all right.
Okay, continue.
My friend Jordan, I'll try that again. My friend Jordan, who is one of these friends that I meet up with like maybe once every 2, 3, even 4 months, he now lives at my parents' place in my old bedroom.
Yeah.
Because as it happened, we were having one of these catch-ups when he said, hey, I'm looking for a new place to live. What are you doing with your old room when you move out? And I'm like, well, my parents could use the rent money. Like, why not? And I love that because he's a really good friend and it's really nice. But it's such a bizarre thing I don't think about it much, but like, he's in my old bedroom. He's petting my cats. But it's like, actually, he hangs out with my cats more than I hang out with my cats. So it's fine, I guess. And I'm glad my parents are in good company.
I've always dreamt of stuff like that happening where... like a movie where coincidence happens and you just rekindle a friendship, or maybe even more, like become have a relationship with someone from your past. That would be so cool. I don't know, I just like it when it's easy and I don't have to work for it, but it's not like I haven't tried, but I also, because of my social anxiety, I don't try as hard as I should.
The nice thing about school is obviously it gives you a social group from the get-go. Although I'll be honest, like anything below age 13, like I do know like 2 people from before that time, but like generally speaking, I don't remember any of the people from my various school groups. I don't remember anything before that age really in terms of like socializing or who the people I knew were. I had a best friend when I was younger, a guy called Nathan. He moved away. I vaguely see what's going on with him on Facebook, and like I would, if I ever spoke to the guy, I'd speak to him quite friendly, but like, he's not... he was my best friend for 5 minutes when I was a kid.
That's funny. I also had a 5-minute Nathan best friend.
No,
but not in high school, in like preschool.
Yeah, no, but that's what I'm talking about. Like that's at that age, like at sort of like 3 to 10.
It was the same Nathan. Like, he just travels country to country.
Yeah, maybe that's where he moved to. I don't know. But obviously, like the friends that I developed through. Now I would, like your brother, consider myself a bit of a social butterfly. I've got friends in sort of from different pools of friendships, from different... went to 2 different universities. I got college friends. I got friends of friends, because Dan's in the year below me. My best friend Dan, who I live with, he's in the year below me at school and college. So he would get his friendship circle. They'd have a party, and he'd go, "Well, can Toby come along?" Or I'd have a party. I'd say, "Can Dan come along?" So we end up sharing so many mutual friends, and then through YouTube, through Connect parties and that kind of thing that would just come up, and YouTube space events, and sometimes it's Poketubers, sometimes it's YouTube in general, different social media cliques, and I just sort of end up in all of them. But what that leads to is, while I have a group of very close friends, and then I also have close friends who are colleagues like yourself or Ace Trainer Liam, I've also got like a large number of acquaintances who are slightly more than acquaintances. But would I actually say we have a friendship? Yes and no. It's the kind of people that I see like once a year or twice a year at an event. How's things going? Oh, yeah, you did say about that last time. Oh, that's really good. And I love meeting up with them. And I always think the vibe is good. But like, and if they said like, "Hey, do you want to go get drinks tonight?" I'd be like, yeah, that sounds like great fun. But like, I don't spend a large amount of my time necessarily thinking about them or them thinking about me, and that's fine. That's just the nature of the dynamic.
What's funny is that I think another reason why it's just also harder for me, at least, to do some of those things other than the social anxiety, is that I didn't grow up around like drinking culture, for example. So there's never like, "Oh, you want to go out for drinks or something?" That's never a thing.
Food. You have food?
That's like an actual like, you have to set aside a time to go to a restaurant and like pick a restaurant and stuff like that. It's not like casual, let's go to a pub and like drink.
See, that is a thing here,
exactly.
For sure.
So
is like, "Hey, what are you up to today?" And usually people tell me, "Toby, I work a job, it's a 9 to 5. And I go, "I'm a YouTuber, it's Wednesday, you want to get some brunch?" And they're like, "No." But sometimes people are free or they got weekends or whatever.
If you live near me, we would go to brunch every week, dude.
It'd be so cool, we can get brunch.
I need to get a YouTuber like friend that lives near me. This is so annoying. But here's the thing. I think the lesson that I want to impart to people: if you notice that you are a little socially anxious and you want to get a job as like a YouTuber or streamer, anybody who works by themselves, think about the fact that you are now not going to have any work friends that live near you, or which are probably way more underrated than you realize. At least for a person who doesn't have a lot of other friends that they can rely on. So yeah, that's it's not a weakness. It's a hazard. It's a work hazard that people don't talk about.
It's true. I don't think about that a lot. I'm lucky that my best friend and I got into similar things. So like we're very close. I'm constantly my social cup is filled. But like, yeah, I mean, Poketuber friends, they're all so spread out so far. Man, I'm gonna come live in New York for like a year at some point.
You just bought a house.
Life is long. Life is very, very long.
True.
It's all good.
And I think next episode we'll talk more about our actual like schools, what our schools were like.
Yeah, I think that'd be good.
I mean, throughout our podcast series, we're definitely going to talk about school stories. So it's not like we have to cram up a lot of school stories.
All of them into,
but more just the general stuff, what our school was like. That'll be fun.
I'd like that. I'm really interested in that as well, because I think I mentioned it on a past podcast, the glorified American school, college experience. I want to know.
Which I didn't have any of those.
Stories.
I didn't have the conventional college experience. I didn't have the conventional high school experience. So that's why I think it's at least entertaining for the people who are listening, because I would assume most of them may have had that. We'll find out. Let us know in the comments below.
That's the end.